Arise News on Sunday commemorated the International Women's Day with the Africa Women of Impact Awards, celebrating 100 trailblazing women whose influence spans business, governance, technology, healthcare, and the creative industries. The ceremony, held in Lagos, brought together leaders from across the continent, highlighting the achievement of women shaping institutions and global perspectives. Now, among the honorees were Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, an activist and solicitor of England and Wales, and Ibukun Awoshika, former chairman of First Bank of Nigeria. The finance sector also recognized Halima Dangote and economist Aruma Ote. In governance, the list included former Nigerian First Lady Aisha Buhari and South African politician Ellen Zil. Well, joining us now is Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, an activist and solicitor of England and Wales. She's also an author of This Is Why I Resist, and also an awardee at the Arise Women of Impact Awards held on Sunday in Lagos. Welcome to Newsday and congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Now, of course, like we said, you were one of the women that were celebrated yesterday night. Can you tell us what it feels like to be recognized and awarded and celebrated for what you do?
It was an incredibly deeply humbling experience to be recognized among these extraordinary African women shaping the continent and the world. It is just truly inspiring. So I was chuffed to be there and to hear about the incredible work. Many women who don't necessarily get that front row seat, to hear about their work, to see them recognized, to celebrate them is wonderful, but I think women should be celebrated every single day, every day without question. But having a day dedicated to us and everybody making the time to hear about what we're doing is great. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about today. And I thought it was an incredible event.
So how can successful women, such as yourself, who were recognized at the awards, mentor and support the next generation of female leaders?
I think it's important to understand what mentoring is and not set, some kind of unreasonable standard to it. So mentoring to me would be lead by example, which means, be fearless in what you do, take ownership, be authentic. And also when you get something wrong, take responsibility for it. Mentoring to me is making a space in bringing other women, be them older than you, your same age or younger than you, women from different spaces and different backgrounds, always creating that extra room because we all don't have the answer. Sometimes it's people who come from different perspectives and we have the same goal that we're able to achieve a bigger impact. I think it's important to be very open to understanding how diversity works, even across the continent of Africa and across our different lived experiences. And that our personal leadership journeys may be unique, but it does connect. And it's that intersecting quality that makes us stronger. I would say that's what mentoring.
Now, you talked about being fearless, and I have to take you up on that. I know you're also a political commentator, yes. And I must say you are quite bold, you're quite vocal about things that matter to you. I recently watched your analysis of the US-Israeli strikes in Iran, and it was so spot on. But I just wondered, don't you get scared sometimes, calling out the powers that be? How do you keep going?
So the answer is no, not because I'm not human, but because I'm really, really ticked off. I'm angry. And the people who are actually experiencing the injustice being meted out by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, and now what we see is an unjustified, unprovoked, illegal war in Iran, they are bearing the brunt of this way more than the rest of us. So I consider it my duty and my responsibility, bearing in mind that, Britain, of which I'm a citizen, I'm British born, is using our taxes, they're using our resources to engage in an illegal war that I do not support and I don't consent to. So I consider it my civic duty to be as loud as possible about what is wrong, and not to worry about fear, because first and foremost, let me make it clear, I'm a woman of faith and I'm covered from my head to my toes. So I'm going to use what the good Lord has given me, and I'll speak truths to power.
Very inspiring. Now let's bring it home to Nigeria. I know you're British born, but I know that you're of Nigerian origin.
I'm African from the roots of my hair to the soles of my feet. Nigerian, there's no issue.
I'm happy to hear that. Now, despite growing recognition, you know, women remain underrepresented in leadership positions in Nigeria.
Yes.
How can initiatives, you know, like this Arise Women of Impact Award help close that gap?
So, for instance, I understand that this is the second year of the Arise Women of Impact in Africa Award. Well, I'll just say, I don't know what took you guys so long. You should have been doing this a long time ago. I think part of the discourse is how long it is taking. Women are at the crux and vital part of Nigeria's progress. Nigeria would not be, I mean, in terms of the wealth it generates, it's not just from resources. The resource includes human resources. Where would Nigeria's human resources be without the women? And I think this is part of the problem of how we articulate the contribution of women in this country. I think sometimes they relegate us to, well, you're part of the care, economy, but that care economy is not quantified. It has no value is placed on it. And it's time we start to put value on it as mothers, as working mothers, even as non-working mothers. There's so much we bring into our society. I think that the more women rise in their different industries, I'm hoping that women take that initiative to create the space in whichever industry they're in and not wait for another award ceremony. We create the room, we create the space, and we bring everybody into it.
But what about the government, and the private sector? What role can they play in supporting women?
They can play a big role. But you know who plays a bigger role? The people who elect these people into power. If, as a voting public, we demand to see qualified women in positions of power, because there are many qualified women. I refuse to believe that some of the men in government today who are absolutely unqualified, who have no business being where they are the best option for this country. But we know that when it comes to politics, it sometimes boils to, if not all the time, who you know and how much you can help them achieve what. We need to get rid of all of that. Either way, I think if the public demands, we want her. She's best, she's qualified, she speaks for us, then that will drive the shape of the government. And I do believe that men have a role to play in this very patriarchal society. The patriarchy benefits all men. So if men take the initiative to understand that it is their responsibility to make sure there's an equal distribution of resource and positions and power with women, then yes, we will get there sooner.
So there's no way I'm going to let you go without talking about feminism.
Yes.
It seems the concept is quite misunderstood, in this part of the world. People see feminists as bitter, angry, men-hating women, women that cannot keep a home and don't want other women to also succeed in keeping their own homes. And this has led to some form of gender war, especially on social media. We see the men versus women, women versus men. How do we begin to correct all these misconceptions? How do we pass the message across of what feminism really is without alienating the men? We need them, to support this feminist movement.
I think the point here is that you think it needs correcting. When you challenge systems and status quo, expect pushback from those who do not want to change. So my thing is this: I am not going to waste my God-given energy to put common sense into your head, because let me put it this way, that is part of the deflection and distraction of those who do not want to change. If I waste my energy here at the do-re-mi ABC 1, 2, 3 level, when I need to be at the front line, they're going to take up all the energy I need to get to where to drive the change. And I'm not going to waste my time with men. Let me look into the camera. Who can't use the sense God gave them to understand that the time has changed, era has changed, and we women, we are part of the solution to progress. It is our strength, our collective resilience, and our collective brilliance that is the engine of progress. And men who do not want to sit there, can't get with the program, leave them behind. We will leave you behind. They can call me bitter. I'm not bitter. My father pushed me to Prince Adebayo Babangida Shai, who passed away 13 years ago. How would I be who I am without a father who helped and literally showed me, you can do what you want. What is it you want? Go ahead and do it. I have a husband. I have siblings who are brothers. So no, fighting for equal rights for women does not mean we hate men. We hate the system that puts men over us. We hate the system that basically says that we should be relegated to the kitchen, like we don't have the brain cells God gave us, like we can't multitask. We can do both. And men, you can go to the kitchen too. In fact, some of you are quite good at the kitchen compared to the rest of us. So I do not see why we should be. I hate this notion of women being defined. I want to define myself. I don't want a woman to be defined as, oh, that means she must be a mother. There are women who do not want to have kids. There are women who do not want to have children or be married, right? That is all part of our equal rights. And let us also be careful that we do not put a Western definition on what feminism is. The West did not create feminism. African women were birthing. They were producing in the farms. They were the ones creating the economy. They were doing all of those things at the same time. So yeah, we've been there and we'll keep pushing forward. We're not going to waste time correcting men who don't want to use what God has given them to understand that time has changed.
Oh, Dr. Shola and Mos-Shogbamimu, this has been a very interesting and insightful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on New Stay.
Thank you.